you and welcome to our presentation for tonight. I believe that we are like a United Nation meeting right now because we are in a different time zones at the moment. But I believe that all of us is now in the afternoon in each places. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Zenzino presentation for today. My name is Patricia, or you can easily call me Pat. And for today, I will be your host. I'll just have to introduce all the speakers, the great speakers that we'll be having for today. And with no further ado, let me introduce you because I know that all of us are still quite busy. We still have things to do after this meeting. So let's start this right away. And for this meeting, for our first speaker, I am very honored to introduce to you the speaker for this afternoon is one of the top leader in his current international networking or network marketing company. He has been working in this profession, in this industry for 23 years. So just imagine the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience that this gentleman has in relation to this business that we are going to talk about today, and has also been featured trainer at some of the biggest networking events in the world, and has shared the stage with legends as Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Sir Richard Branson, and many more. I will not make this introduction so long because I know he will share also the experiences and how he can help us. He's also our mentor and our coach directly from the company. He is helping us and he will help us to grow our business, to grow and succeed in this career. And we hope that we will grow with you together in this business. Let's all welcome Mr. Thomas Tidland.
Thank you very much, Ms. Patricia, and welcome everybody. As we already mentioned, there's late afternoon in many places here and late night at some of the places. And of course, this is a meeting where we're conducting for the Zenzino Global Partnership, like the global market that we have successfully launched around the globe so far. Myself, I worked with Zenzino since the very first day the company was founded back in 2005. And it's been a great journey. We are today in 37 fully open countries where we operate. And also, I want to let you know that we are a public company where you can you can see us on the stock exchange, NASDAQ. So we have a proven track record and looking forward to share this platform with you tonight. So if we look at the market we are in right now, like I said, we are in 37 countries with the proven track record. But then we also did something very innovative today because especially the last 18 months, more and more people has been functioning from home, no matter if it's direct sales or network marketing where we working in or traditional businesses. So I love innovation. You know, the human race wouldn't be where we are without innovation, and our test-based formula is a proof of that as well. But we have started to open global markets that's not fully open yet for us. So today we have over 60 global markets where you and other people can become customer to take advantage of our balance test and the Balance Oil Plus and improve your health. And it's no different than you go online and you order a product and they ship it to your doorstep. It's the same with Zenzino. And through the people that invited you to this meeting, you can shop directly from Zenzino. They deliver the product to you with a flat shipping rate around the globe. It's $10 US. And from there, we take the first, small steps to fully open that country or that market for you. So again, welcome to all the guests here tonight, taking your time, and you will have a great presentation in depth what this product really can do for you from a very dear friend of mine who I'll introduce very, very shortly. So the product we are working with, Balance Oil Plus, and the Balance Test that we worked with so successfully, was actually on the market and sold over the counter in health stores in Scandinavia for around 5 years, from 2007 to 2012, when we got the offer to launch that in our already successful company and network. And today we fully own this product. We have all the licenses. It's a patented product with world pending patent, and we own the manufacturing. We own, the resources. We own the shipping, everything, all the infrastructure surrounding this product, and the track record from it, like you will hear in a short period of time here, is just over the top. And we think that, the healthcare and the healthcare business is dominated by the pharmaceutical magic bullet, when the symptoms of non-communicable degenerative disease, such as, we can list them, like the big diseases out there today. A lot of doctors, or most of the doctors, would generally reach for drugs, how to fix a problem. But we love to work with the mindset of prevent the problem from even occur. So when we look at the Balance Oil, it's the ultimate essential omega superfood. We would love to let your food be your pharma nutrition instead of turning to drugs and other things. And especially through this pandemic that we have the last 18 months. We see, more and more people with health problems, and still, I would say, the world is more and more aware of health and staying healthy. But the backside is we see people declining, being more and more unhealthy. And I think that's a direct relationship to the food we eat. And that's what our product helps you with. Just by drinking our product, you can get an improvement in your health. So I want to say hi to everybody that writing in the chat here as well. I see you, and pleased to welcome you to this meeting as well. So I think we are leading the global mega trend of test-based nutrition out there today, and it's going straight up. It's a trend that's just growing for every month after month, and I think it's a trend that's sweeping the globe around the world, and we are, like today, the #1 market share in that trend. And myself have worked with nutrition for over 20 years, 23 years, like Patricia shared earlier. And this product is different because we can prove it by a test, like a blood test. And to work with test-based nutrition versus guest-based, it's much more comfortable because we know that it works. There's much more claims we can announce and do publicly because we have a huge test group of people that blood tested, and you will get those numbers later on as well. So if you love yourself and your loved one's health, I really encourage you to listen carefully, take notes, and also get the balance test as soon as possible, so you can start drinking this product as soon as possible, because it will improve your health from the inside out, and we can prove it. And with that said, I want to introduce to you the main speaker for this presentation. It's a dear friend of mine that we are helping. He's from Nigeria, and right now his residency in Saudi Arabia. It's a medical doctor, very, 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 I would say, an expert within his field, and would do this presentation much, much more fair than what I ever can, because his background and all the hours and the years, and of course the experience by working as a medical doctor. And I'm very happy to the last weeks here and month, I would say, get to know him more in depth, and also happy for the expertise that he brings to the table, so you can take advantage of this fantastic product. So no further ado, welcome Dr. Godwin Ukeje, and I'm very, very happy to have you here tonight, and I'm really excited for the people listening in to this Zoom.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited this evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas, for introducing me to this wonderful presentation. I'm quite honored to be doing this presentation today, and I know that we are going to have a smooth ride today because we are here to talk about the global megatrend, test-based nutrition. So, and I want to welcome every one of us who are here for this presentation. I hope I can be heard. I hope I'm very audible. I hope I'm very audible this time. So I want to welcome every one of us who are here to this presentation to sit back, ask your questions at the end of the presentation, and we will get real value today. So welcome to Zinzino, the test-based versus guest-based nutrition. I titled it the omega-6, omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acid ratio balance test and the breakthrough balance oil. Why did I do it so? I did it so because I have come to realize the importance of the omega-6 and omega-3 polyunsaturated balance fatty acid ratio. Now, my name is Dr. Godwin. I'm a medical doctor by profession, and I have been in the medical practice for more than 10 years now. I have practiced in Nigeria severally most of my years, and also practiced just few months in Saudi Arabia, and have been able to marry the burden of non-communicable diseases that exist in the world, especially coming from a place like Africa, going to the Gulf. So trying to marry them, it gives me an idea that the pandemic we have now is not COVID-19 pandemic. The ongoing pandemic that is ongoing as we speak, and it is the pandemic, the burden of non-communicable diseases. It might interest you to know that this pandemic is so silent that most people don't know that it is ongoing. But how does it come? It comes when it has gotten to a level, that point of no return. And this pandemic has no vaccination. There is no vaccination that can be produced for this pandemic because it is ongoing because of the burden. And the other pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic we are aware of, we barely could control it. But this pandemic, this non-communicable disease pandemic is something we can control. And that is why getting to know our omega-6 and omega-3 ratio is very, very important, because a lot of clinical studies, a lot of clinical researches have shown that this ratio is a determining factor, is a factor that shows whether you are at risk of being infected, in quotes, by this ongoing silent pandemic, the pandemic of communicable diseases. Now, but what happens? Everybody wants to feel good. You and I want to feel good. Those who are here, we are here because we want to feel good. We want to be healthy. The whole world is tending towards health. But the more people seek health, the more this pandemic, I call it, the burden of non-communicable diseases, these chronic diseases are increasing, ravaging people silently. So it's an irony. So that's why we are asking a lot of questions. It is time for us to ask why. Those who have not bothered to find out why, this is the best time for you to ask questions. Why is this so? What is responsible for it? There's a saying that every food we eat, or every disease originates from the gut. It means that the food we eat is what makes us. What you eat today is a contributor of that pandemic that is ongoing. That silent burden of non-communicable diseases that is ongoing now all over the world. Is even worse off in some places. Some places like Africa, where the health system is not so strong, that people have to pay out of pocket to access health care. So it is even of much more importance for us, for us to be much more preventive, have that preventive mindset and control what we eat. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said centuries ago, that let your food be thy medicine and let your medicine be thy food. Now we are beginning to come to terms, we are beginning to understand why he said that. And over the years, technological advancement, advancement in science and technology have actually replaced the role of food in our health. Even Albert Einstein also said that the doctors of the future, he said it centuries ago, that the doctors of the future will not treat human frame with drugs, but rather they will use nutrition. They will use nutrition to influence disease. And now a lot of studies have started going on nutrition-based. No wonder we now have the birth of the test-based nutrition, the global mega trend, which Zinzino is pioneering to the world. Zinzino is pioneering to the world the test-based nutrition, the global mega trend. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. Tackling an aspect that has to control or do with what this silent pandemic I am talking about. Now, of course, I said in those days we used to eat foods. The foods we eat then and now are no longer the same. Rich with vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, micronutrients, beta-glucans, fibers, healthy fats, and a good balance of omega-6 and omega-3. But what do we have now? The foods we are eating are no longer the way it used to be. The food has changed. You see, low nutrition density, high sugar, so much calories with low nutrition, so much calories with low nutrients, zero or no nutrients, less healthy fats, and a lot of imbalance of omega-6 and omega-3. There are essential fatty acids. Essential fatty acids, they are called essential. Why are they essential? Because our body must produce them. Our bodies cannot produce them. We must take them from food. Our bodies cannot produce them. We must take them from food. And the omega-6 and the omega-3 fatty acid, polyunsaturated essential fatty acid, forms a large chunk of it. We also have omega-9, but the one that forms a large chunk of it is omega-6 and omega-3, which are important ingredients in the cell membrane, the cell covering, the covering of our cells. Talk about that later as I proceed. So we take less of them, and most of the foods we eat today are foods that contain more of omega-6, and less of omega-3, contributing to that imbalance, which is one of the factors that is also giving rise to the silent pandemic of non-communicable disease all over the world. Now, look at these two dimensions of malnutrition, the type A malnutrition and the type B malnutrition. We are all aware and familiar of the type A malnutrition, especially war-torn countries where there is burden of poverty. We are well aware of this protein energy malnutrition. But look at the other type B malnutrition. A lot of us don't know that this is also a form of malnutrition. So many people today who are wealthy and well-to-do and who can actually, afford good things out of life, but they spend money in malnourishing themselves. They spend money in malnourishing themselves by indulging in all this, because these nutrients lack many nutrients. They lack the omega-3, they lack fiber, they lack antioxidants, they lack phytonutrients, they lack vitamins. And you see ourselves being overnourished on some things, on the heavy calories and heavy omega-3 and unhealthy fats that our body don't need that much. So that is the way of the world. And once this continues to happen, an individual who is indulging in type B malnutrition will think, after eating, oh, I'm fine, I'm feeling good, I don't have problem. He feels so excited after eating, but not knowing that each time we indulge in those foods that are detrimental to our health or that contribute to these chronic forms of diseases, our cell dies. The DNA suffers. The DNA is what regulates the activities of the cell. Once the DNA is affected, the cell is already programmed to die. Once there is DNA injury, the cell is either programmed to die or the cell is programmed to divide abnormally, which can give rise to cancer. So that dysregulation keeps happening over time. While we indulge, it keeps happening over time. And that is what has been happening over the years. And you see people coming down with increasing the burden of non-communicable diseases, hypertension, diabetes, stroke, heart attack, autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and the rest of them, because of changes in the DNA, because of the influence, the kind of foods we eat. And why we indulge that, we go ahead to do exercise, we exercise ourselves, we want to keep fit. We want to keep fit, but we still indulge in those foods that are harming ourselves. The body cannot produce essential fatty acids except we take them from food. No amount of exercise can produce essential fatty acids except we take them from food. That is why even those who still indulge in exercise and still engage in those unhealthy diets, unhealthy living, still end up in the hospital with one chronic disease or the other. So, the DNA was structured to have a 1:1 ratio of omega-6 and omega-3. That was how the DNA was structured right from birth, right from the formation of man. But what happens because of the environment we find ourselves, technological development, science have been able to peg it, recommend it as 3:1. WHO recommendation is 4:1. Anything less than 4:1. Once it begins to go above 4:1, the cells begins to misbehave. The cells begins to misfire. The cells begin to divide abnormally. Why? We will see how this thing happens and why the cell misbehaves when this ratio begins to go up. So the turning point is 4:1 ratio. And if it continues, because as we continue to indulge, it continues to increase 15:1. And this has increased in over other continents, in the US, in Europe. In fact, now that the global partnership has been opened to the rest of the world, like Africa and Asia, you'll see in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the ratios from these continents will come out. Don't be surprised to see ratios of up to 45:1 or up to 50:1 because of the kind of foods we eat, because of our lifestyle. And that is the pandemic that Zeno is trying to elucidate, that has been hidden, so that we will get to know about this and you get to check yourself and know where you belong. So we will lack basic nutrients, and that is why we have an imbalance in omega-6 and our omega-3. We lack the basic nutrients, and once this happens, what happens? The brain function will be affected, the hair quality will be affected, the heart function will be affected, our skin elasticity will be affected, joint and muscles, and the other. Because as this omega-6 and omega-3 are important constituents in our cell membrane, this cell membrane is an organ that regulates the inflow and exit of nutrients or substances or chemicals. The cell is the structural and the functional unit of life. Without the cell, there can never be the tissue. Without the tissue, there can never be the organ. Without the organs, there can never be a system. And it is a system that comes together to make us function. I am talking today, giving this presentation coherently, because my central nervous system and every other system are working in unison. My heart is pumping well to supply blood to my brain, to feed my brain cells, to make me to talk very well, to make me to see. If there is dysregulation and uncoordination of this system because the cell is affected, there'll be a problem. If the cells in my retina is affected, I will not be able to see. if the cells in my brain that is responsible for me to talk, I will not be able to talk even when I know what to say. So you see, but what covers the cell, what protects the cell? The organelles that are found in the cell. The organelles that are found in the cell are the machine, are where all these things go on, these reactions that make us to be alive and healthy go on. But the covering of the cell membrane, the omega-6 and the omega-3 are important ingredients, important constituents in the cell membrane. And this essential fatty acid, we must take them from food. A lot of the foods we eat today contain omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids, but less of omega-3, significantly less of omega-3. The world is now coming to that consciousness. And once the foods we eat contain less of omega-3, there is that imbalance. It means that the ratio of omega-6 and omega-3 will be very high. And once that happens, the cell membrane begins to malfunction. The cell membrane is supposed to be fluidy, supposed to be flexible, supposed to be malleable, so that the nutrients from the blood can easily perfuse for the cell organelles, for the cell machinery to function very well. Even what the cell produces, what the cell excretes, or important chemicals that the cell produces that will help to regulate our blood pressure, help to regulate our sugar level, help to regulate the function of the body, the cells cannot release because the cell membrane is malfunctioning, the cell membrane is hardened because of that increased ratio of omega-6 and omega-3. The presence of omega-3 with the ratio of 3:1 makes the cell to be fluidy, makes easy passage of nutrients into the cell and out of the cell, waste products and what the cell produces. So you see, once this balance is distorted, a lot of things start going on. And a lot of studies have unraveled the importance of omega-3 fatty acids. You see, they are an integral part of the cell membranes throughout the body and affect the function of the cell receptors in these membranes. They provide the starting point for making hormones that regulate blood clotting. It means that if there's a problem with the production of those hormones or that regulation, there could be an abnormal blood clot, can cause a lot of problems. Contraction and relaxation of arterial walls. If there's a dysregulation of contraction and relaxation of arterial walls, it can lead to high blood pressure. Inflammation, if the system is prone to having inflammation, it means that it could lead to a lot of cellular damages of cells, because virtually all the diseases in our body are mediated by inflammation. So if our system is always prone to having inflammatory compounds, we will always be falling ill. You see, they have been shown to help prevent heart disease, stroke, may help control lupus, eczema, rheumatoid arthritis, and may play protective roles in cancer and other conditions. Omega-3 fatty acids. Now, the quantity of omega-3 acid, first of all, ask yourself, what quantity of omega-3 fatty acid do we take on daily basis? Now, this is also another study that elucidated the role of omega-3 fatty acids and inflammatory process, showing that the omega-3 fatty acids are anti-inflammatory. In fact, the products of the omega-3 fatty acids, which could have been known to be inflammatory, but they in turn inhibit inflammation, thereby regulating the system and preventing a lot of illnesses that should go on and giving us that good health. So there's also the role of the omega-3 fatty acid in the management of chronic alcoholic liver disease. These are scientific articles published on PubMed, notable journals. The effect of fish oil supplement in the maintenance of hemodialysis patients, even patients who are on hemodialysis, patients who are on end-stage renal disease, that supplementation of fish oil, omega-3 fatty acid, keeps them good. In fact, it helps the outcome. It can also improve secondary hyperparathyroidism, microinflammation, and hypertriglyceridemia. So even your ordinary simple lipid profiles, you will see the result change when your diet is rich in omega-3 fatty acids. There is now an association between omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids, hyperinsulinemia, and the incidence of diabetes, to show you how it affects, how it helps to prevent the onset of diabetes. Results confirm previous reports that omega-3 fatty acids are associated with hyperinsulinemia. Findings suggest that omega-6 are more likely markers of hyperinsulinemia, meaning that the omega-6 level that is usually very high can tip us to having diabetes, type 2 diabetes especially. So we need that ratio to be balanced to prevent or counteract the effect of the omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids. Now you see, good omega-6 and omega-3 fats, good for health. Now this is a study that shows the importance of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acid ratio. Now we are now in the ratio. So many studies have talked about this ratio and how a lowering of the ratio prevents us from having cardiovascular diseases and chronic diseases. Now, this one says excessive amounts of omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acid and a very high omega-6-3 ratio, as found in today's Western diet, promotes the pathogenesis of many diseases, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, inflammatory, and autoimmune diseases. Whereas increased levels of omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids, that is reduction in the ratio of omega-6 and omega-3 ratio, exert suppressive effect. It means that if you notice that your ratio is high and you now take the balanced oil or the omega-3 fatty acid, or increase that of omega-3 fatty acid, and your ratio reduces, it means that you have taken yourself far away from the burden of these diseases. It exerts suppressive effect. In the secondary prevention of cardiovascular disease, a ratio of 4:1 was associated with a 70% decrease in total mortality. Now, a lower ratio of omega-6, omega-3 fatty acids is more desirable in reducing the risk of many of the chronic diseases of high prevalence in Western society, as well as in developing countries. So the research, the articles are there's so much that on your own you can do your due diligence, and you have enough evidence why the significance of omega-6 and omega-3 and how it impacts on our health. Now the question now is, listening to me in this presentation, what I expect to be going on in your mind is to ask yourself, where am I in this ratio? What is my ratio as I speak? What chances, what risks do I have? I came across an article online that said that it has been shown that 1% intake, 1% addition of omega-3 fatty acids in our diet has shown to reduce, to increase the life expectancy for up to 5 years, because of all these things that it controls in the cell membrane and the rest of them. The question you ask yourself now, where are you today? Where are you, your ratio? And the only way you can know your ratio, just the way we advise people to go and check your blood pressure, check your sugar level, check your lipid profile, do some basic annual or biannual medical checks to know. That is the only way you know your system. That is the only way you know your system. You get to discover what is going wrong and arrest it before it gets to a point of no return, or before it gets you to a point of no return. And it is only when you check your ratio, just as you can check your lipid profile, check all that, the same way now people are checking their omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Where our children are probably today are 25:1 and above, because the foods our children are eating today is not what we ate when we are children, when we are growing up. A lot of things are changing. As the year goes by, so many things are changing. and the food industry is not getting better. Now, there are people who are already on omega-3 supplements. Now, and people who are trying to live a healthy diet. The ratio will not be around 15:1, where probably we could be. And 7:1, those who are on omega-3 supplements. The ratio is still high because the question now, not how, the omega-3 supplement you are taking, how efficacious it is. I'll talk about efficacy just in the few slides in front. But where do we want to be? Where is recommended? The recommended area is 3:1. This is where we should be, because when our ratio gets to 3:1, we are out of this danger zone. This is a danger zone. That's why it's colored red. Red stands for danger. We are out of it. We are no longer drowned in this silent pandemic of non-communicable diseases. We are out of it. We are sitting on the mountain, out of the water. Our life expectancies can now increase. Our health can be optimized. We will be kept far from these non-communicable diseases. In fact, coming out of this ratio is the vaccination for this ongoing silent pandemic. And this has been recognized by WHO. WHO recommends 4:1, 4:1 and lower. And the Nordic Council of Ministers, Nordic Nutritional Recommendations 2004, 2012, also do the same thing, recommend 5:1. At least people should go lower, take steps to go lower. How would you know your ratio? Is by doing a balance test. This balance test is something that is done in laboratories all over the world, specific laboratories all over the world, because it's a new kind of test, because it checks a lot of things. Now, Zenzino has partnered with a laboratory that can analyze, a laboratory with high repute. And this laboratory, over the years from the onset of conducting this test, has done much more than above 500,000 people have actually take their balance tests. And it might interest you to know the statistics from these people who have done their balance tests. Now look at the test, the Vitas Analytical Lab. This is a lab that is WHO recognized. Vitas has been a collaborative partner to the WHO, as well as the Olympia Toppen Research Facility in Norway. Vitas is a GMP, Good Manufacturing Practice certified chemical analysis contract lab, recognized as one of the pioneers in the modern use of the dry blood test. There are clinical studies, articles published on why dry blood tests is the best way to use to check these omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. This resource can be found online for those who want to learn more, want to read more about it, like my medical colleagues here who want to read more about it. And the Vitas Analytical Laboratory, the analytical services, they have official partners, people who also submit samples to them, people who trust them, people who trust what they can do. You see, the Harvard University, University of Cambridge, King's College London, all this trust what comes out of Vitas Laboratory. And Zenzino is not the owner of Vitas Laboratory. Vitas Laboratory don't know you, because the moment you are submitting your samples, what happens is that you are given a unique ID number. You are not known. The Vitas Laboratory communicates back to you through your ID number. So it's like a double-blind mechanism, double-blinded approach. So you are not known, they don't know you, they don't know whose result. That is why the test is done in this lab, that once the result is out, we are sure of the authenticity of the result. So you can get your personal test result when you after taking your samples, you go to zenzinotest.com and input your ID. If your result is ready, it will show you whether you are balanced or you are unbalanced. And what does this test? The test, what are the parameters that this test will help us to know? Apart from making you to know your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, it will also help you. That's what we call it, the test-based nutrition. You are testing your level of nutrition to know whether you are tilting towards this silent pandemic. What other things does it test? It tests your protection value. It takes your omega-3 index. It takes your the mental strength index, your membrane fluidity. Now, the cell membranes I talked about, it also tells you how fluidity your cell membranes are. And your AA, that's arachidonic acid formation efficiency. So that is what, and a lot of, just from that dry blood test, you get to know a lot of things about your health. There has never been this kind of technology in the wellness industry. Zinzino is pioneering this technology in the wellness industry. And that is why it is a global mega trend. And that is why it has gained its worldwide acceptance, not just on ordinary people, but also in the scientific community. Researchers have embraced it. Researchers, practitioners, scientists, medical professionals are fascinated about it, because this is what a lot of us who are health professionals have been looking for, to help people around us health-wise, and to help to reduce the burden of these non-communicable diseases that are tricky not to crack for the therapeutic industry. So you can track the progress. You can track your progress after when you repeat your test after 120 days, because the test is done on the cell membrane of the red blood cells. So when the red blood cells, the life cycle is about 120 days. As they are produced, when your red blood cells is formed, is a function of your nutritional status. And that is what shows on the cell membrane of red blood cells. And the cell, those red blood cells will live. While you are waiting to repeat your test after 120 days, you are expected, having known that your ratio is very high, to take steps to reduce your ratio. Take the balanced oil that Zinzino has provided, that has been shown over the years to reduce ratios in just 120 days. We'll talk about it in front. Now you see, so we track your progress and you repeat it after. Now in that 120 days, that is what happens. And the test result has shown a wall that is out of balance, because a lot of people, they keep seeing out of balance results as a test. And these are people who ordinarily are normal. They are fine. They go about their normal activity. Some do workout every morning. Some are athletes. But because of the deficiency of omega-3 fatty acids in their diet, which is deteriorating the health gradually, you see a lot of percentage of people are out of balance when this is a breakthrough discovery in the wellness industry, and also that can also help to also prevent a lot of people from having the burden of cardiovascular diseases. I call this one of the cardiovascular risk assessment tool to prevent non-communicable diseases like heart attack and the rest of them. So we can, having discovered that the problem can be fixed. And how do we fix this problem? A group of scientists have come together to form the advisory board of Zinzino, because of this test-based nutrition, because of what Zinzino is out to do to the world, to help our nutritional status and to bring back our good health the way it used to be in centuries past. Now, notable scientists with some world's brightest minds in the field of wellness and nutrition who developed the system for the test-based nutrition. If you go on YouTube, you see presentations of all these professionals. You can watch them. The other day, I was watching the presentation of Dr. Ola Ede. He's the founder of the industry leader Bioactive Food Association. The presentation was top-notch, scientific. Those of us who are in the field of medicine, those presentations will make more sense to us and will do us a lot of good. And I encourage you to go out for them and watch them and see them and gain knowledge. He had a number of leadership positions, such as chairman of the board of the Norwegian and the Nordic Food Research Program, director of innovation at Mills, and director of the Norwegian Diaries. Now look at Dr. Paul Clayton. Dr. Paul Clayton is a pioneer in the study of the pharmacological effects of foods and botanical ingredients and how they affect our health and physical performance. He has received a PhD in the neuropharmacology from the University of Edinburgh. Dr. Paul Clayton, if you go to his website, you see a book he wrote, how the pharmaconutrition influences our health. I think there's a book like that. He has a lot of articles and he has a lot of scientific research published on omega-6 and omega-3 ratio. And also the research he published talking about how omega-3 fatty acids are easily destroyed by what? Free radicals before they get to the cells, and why the balanced oil has been able to increase the shelf life of the omega-3 fatty acids and increase the bioavailability and volume of distribution of the omega-3 fatty acids, increasing their potency. We'll look at that later in the few slides in front. What about Dr. Angela? She's an expert in the biochemistry of lipids. She's a professor of biochemistry at the University of Milan. Her numerous publications include Journal of the American College of Nutrition and Nutrition Journal. Dr. Abraham has more than 40 years of experience in the health and nutrition industry. He is a qualified medical doctor in 1974 and has experience in both government hospitals and various medical disciplines. So you see, these products are patented. It means it's backed up by law. You know, so and it's not something that can easily be replicated by another company or another source, because it is backed up by, it is patented. Now, what happens in that 120 days as you are taking your balance oil? Now discover that your ratio is high. Just like when you go to the hospital and you discover that your blood pressure is high, your sugar level is high, you will ask yourself, what can I do? You have to do something because you have discovered the problem. It has to be solved. You discover a problem of a very high ratio, you have to solve the problem in that 120 days. Since, you know, through the help and the scientific contribution of this advisory board, these health professionals, these scientists came up with the Zinzino Balance Oil. It is not called omega-3 fatty acid oil. It is not called fish oil. It is called Balance Oil because the main ingredient is not omega-3 fatty acid. Apart from the fact that omega-3 fatty acid is well represented, the main ingredient is the polyphenols, which are extracts from olive that are powerful antioxidants that prevent the oxidation of omega-3 fatty acid. Omega-3 fatty acids on its own and other lipids are easily oxidized. They are easily oxidized in the body. They are easily oxidized. In fact, it is shown that once we take omega-3 fatty acids, before it gets to the cell, before it gets to the destination, the cell, it can be oxidized. But when you have, that's why we recommend people to take more of fruits and vegetables to increase your antioxidant level to prevent this oxidation. But when you have polyphenols in the balanced oil that prevents the oxidation of omega-3 fatty acid, what happens? It delivers them structurally in their correct form to the cells. And that is why you see the potent, that is why the balanced oil is very potent. That is why a lot of people have seen their ratio crashed from higher to less than 3 in just 120 days. And it also contains, of course, the omega-3 fatty acid, have the EPA, DHA, and DPA from wild fish. Now, it contains vitamin D3 for calcium and bone metabolism, because a lot of people lack vitamin D3, a lot, especially people who have little exposure to nature. They lack a lot of vitamin D3, and you see a lot of you know, bone problems and calcium dysregulation. Now, vitamin E is a natural antioxidant. Is a natural antioxidant that are found, that is known and is good for the body. Now, the balanced oil is dosed by weight, 0.15 mils per kilogram per kg. 0.15 mils per kilogram per kg. So you know your weight, and so between 7 meals to 12 meals per day is enough, and you take them and you have covered your day for your omega-3 fatty acids supply to the body for that day through the balanced oil. No oxidation, because what? You have the polyphenols there, and it is original. And you see the GMP seal, the Frank is, you know, balanced oil is a member of proud member of Friend of the Sea, to show you that the oils are actually naturally harvested from this wild fish. And it's 100% natural. And it, of course, keto means that it can also help to, it will not make you to gain weight. It gives you your right amount of weight, because obesity is one of the contributors of what? These non-communicable diseases. So when you look at certifications, when you look at all these things, you will now know the authenticity and credibility and originality of products. These are the things I look out for. GMPC, Friend of the Sea, halal rating, wonderful, halal certified, non-GMO, sugar-free, soy-free, gluten-free for people who are at risk of having what? Celiac disease. So it's gluten-free, so they don't have anything to worry about. So now, this is what happens to the balanced oil that stays up to 35 hours. It can be very potent up to 35 hours. By that time, it has gotten around your body. It has, in the volume of distribution is enhanced because of the presence of the polyphenols. That is why it's called the balanced oil. The polyphenol, the vitamin E, all those things prevent it from being. That is why it is different. A study that was done in August 2010 to compare the balanced oil with other oils, with other omega-3 fatty acid oil. You see the difference in the shelf life to show you the potency of the balanced oil. Now, 95% of those taking these balanced products have a ratio of near 3:1 after 120 days because of the efficacy. And this is something that we should be on. We have seen that you don't, even when you discover that your ratio has been crashed, when you discover that something has done good to your health and you feel better, and that symptom that you are always having, some people usually have a particular symptom that has been happening to them months, years, and they have not been able to lay hands to find out what the problem could be. They have done series of investigations, they have seen series of doctors, but they don't know. In fact, there are some symptoms that don't have explanations. They don't have explanations. There's something that we don't even know. We don't even have explanation, but you just have to do the right investigations to be sure if you can pin down on any diagnosis or anything. But there are some, actually, to be frank with you, has no explanations. That's why you see some diseases, they'll tell you cause is unknown cause. But what happens is that something is wrong in the system. That is why once you have gotten that sense of well-being, it is a lifetime thing. A child that is 6 months old, once the child is 6 months old, the child is weaned off from exclusive breastfeeding. The child can now start eating other food. And that is when the child can now start taking food that has more of omega-6 compared to omega-3. So it is important to introduce the balanced oil from that age, because the omega-3 fatty acids is a constituent of the breast milk. So as the mother is breastfeeding, is also feeding the child. So from 6 months, when the baby is weaned off from exclusive breastfeeding, up till lifetime, it is advised for us to give the body what the body cannot produce. That is where the balanced oil comes in. And when you are getting health from something, you will find it difficult to let go of it. My discovery of the balanced oil is one of the greatest health breakthroughs I have gotten for myself. And of course, my balance test is on the way. I just can't imagine what my ratio would be. But the moment I sent my sample, I started my balance oil immediately, because I know definitely I'm going to be deranged. My ratio is going to be high. And now get to retest myself after 120 days, a story I cannot wait to share one day to the world. Now, these are 18 health claims approved by European Food Safety Association. This is a regulatory agency in Europe, a standard regulatory organization that has made and approved these 18 health claims of omega-3 fatty acids, the omega-3 supplements, the balanced oil. These health claims were not made by Zenzino. The top 3 of them top the list: normal brain function, normal heart function, and normal immune function. These are important aspects that are critical to the survival of the human body: the brain functioning and the heart functioning. If anything goes wrong with any of these organs, the survival of the human person will be of great compromise. And you see, vision, because the omega-3 fatty acid is an important constituent in the retina of the eye. So vision is the teeth, normal brain development of fetus and breastfed infants. You are pregnant, or you know a pregnant woman, help that baby's brain and eye to develop very well by introducing the balanced oil, or making her to do her test, then let her know her ratio and let her start correcting her ratio for the sake of her health and for the sake of that unborn baby. Normal bone structure, fights oxidative stress. I have talked about normal blood pressure when we looked at that investigation, that research. Normal cell division. There are tons of clinical studies that has approved, that has confirmed each of these health claims. That is why you see them approved by the European Food and Safety Organization. It goes and goes all along, 18 of them. That is why you see a lot of athletes today who are already on the balanced oil. Remember that Zinzino has been existing since 2005. A lot of success stories in health and of course in wealth is already there. And athletes, there are some athletes that cannot do without the balanced oil because of how it has helped their sports, because of how it has helped their total well-being. Now, reaching a balance between omega-6 and omega-3 is the first step to feel good, because it corrects a lot of things. It corrects your lipid profile. It keeps them in its right proportion. It helps to regulate your blood pressure. It helps to regulate, it balances you. That's why it's called balanced oil. It balances your health. When you are in balance, everything functions optimally. Your systems function optimally. But when you are out of balance, the optimum function of your system is compromised. Stay fit and be healthy. There are other products from the Zinzino that are also made from the concept of the test-based nutrition, because while you're also taking the balanced oil, you also have the skin serum, because the skin is the largest organ of the body and it's made up of cells. These cells feed from the blood, omega-3 fatty acid. Imagine you also have a cream that is laden full of these important constituents of the balanced oil, applying it in a cream form, in a serum form on top of your skin, nourishing the cell. You don't even need to apply, you don't need to buy expensive soap. You don't need to do too much work, but you see your skin, those wrinkles, because it has shown to hydrate and smoothen the skin, improve skin elasticity, because the cells, the cell membrane function better. Elasticity and strength. It increases the lifespan of this skin. It reduces the incidence of wrinkles. It makes you look good and younger. Because once you have a lot of stress effect on your body, on your skin, your cells begin to shrivel, and what happens? Wrinkle begins to form. And it helps to reduce those fine lines and those wrinkles, and beautifies you and makes you appear healthy and smart. There are other products. Now, these products, like we have talked about, are products that the company has given out for global expansion. The company has a lot of other products, different kind, beauty and care, different type, which follow the basis, the concept of the test-based nutrition and the balancing our health. And also championed by this advisory board. These scientists are also behind this product, evidence-based. Now, these ones, the balanced oil, the skin serum, and these one are the ones that are available now in countries like the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, some other countries where Zinzino is already in operational. If you go to your web store, you see all the products. You can study, you can even go online. If you want to learn all the products, you can go online to Zinzino, put a country of your choice, you can learn all the products. You can get to know much about them and you'll be excited. The question you should ask yourself, do I want to take the test? It is something that everybody who is health conscious should do. It is something that WHO has even recommended, that we should ensure that our ratio is 4:1. And how do you know? It's by getting to know your current state. Then know whether you need to move. Because if you do your test today and you discover that you are 4:1, your money is refunded, because you don't need the products, you don't need the balance, or you're already doing well. But if you discover that your ratio is high, then you have to keep to the WHO recommendation, which is 4:1. And we are recommending 3:1. If possible, the lower the ratio, the better. And when you go to your web office, when you go to meet the person who has invited you or who probably told you about this webinar, the person has a web store. And that web store, you can get to see how to place your order. Now, this is what we are actually recommending to people to get: a balance test and your oils. You get your balance test. If you get your balance test and you do your balance test and your test is normal, your money is refunded. But if your test is deranged, you have your balance oil that can last you up to 4 months. So you use it, and after 4 months, you repeat your test. And you see these are different, different offers. You see them, you can get access to them and place your order today and get your balance test done and get your balanced oil. Take your balanced oil. Do your due diligence, do your research, get your information. It took me time I did a lot of research, I did a lot of reading, studying to be excited. Every day I get excited about this product line. For those who are in countries that the company is already in full operation, like the UK and the EU and US, and you have all different, the premier offer is different categories, more products for you. Now, don't let your health remain a mystery. If you don't test, you keep guessing. Anytime you don't test, you are guessing. And the more you start guessing that you are okay, your health becomes a mystery. And once your health becomes a mystery, it means you don't know what is cooking up. People die today, they slump, people have heart attack. In fact, in some countries, myocardial infarction is just like the way malaria is in Africa. Because it comes down. Malaria is so common in Africa, but in some countries, that those of us who are in Africa, who are in Nigeria today, you see that the way we diagnose malaria is the same way in some other countries they diagnose heart attack almost every day, every single day, because people are at risk. People are increasing in size. Obesity is now a problem because of sedentary lifestyle, technological advancement. People don't even do exercise. People are always driving. People, eating more of omega-6. So what's leading company of fatty acids test, which is the Vitas laboratory. And of course, more than 687,000 fatty acids tests has been analyzed, while 97%, 95% of people do not have the optimum balance. That means we have a lot of work to do. We have work to do. We need to go out and preach to the world and tell the world that they are out of balance and help them to come back to balance.
Our nature is a powerful designer. When nutrients are in the right balance, we get a superfood. Zinzino provide cutting-edge, best-in-class products from the new science of pharmaconutrition, which uses active nutrients from food to fight the imbalances in our modern lifestyle. Eating fish is healthy. It is a well-known truth that higher levels of omega-3 support a healthy heart, an optimal brain function, and your immune system. How much do you need?
To know this, you have to measure the balance of omega-6 and omega-3, which you can do with the Zinzino test. We have tested several 100,000 people. Our statistics show that 95 out of 100 have too much omega-6 and too little omega-3.
Our DNA was programmed with a 1-to-1 balance. Today, the average is 15-to-1. According to the World Health Organization, a healthy balance for the heart should be less than 5-to-1, while science recommends 3-to-1. Balance oil is many times more effective than normal omega-3 supplements. These ingredients help support in most foods that are rich in omega-3, like seafood, seeds, and nuts. We find them also to be rich in polyphenols. Polyphenols are micronutrients known for their power to reduce oxidation in your cells and cell membranes. Sadly, the omega-3 industry ignored this important truth. They left out the polyphenols. Zinzino respects and understands nature. We combine the highest quality omega-3 with the most potent source of polyphenols from a pre-harvested olive oil. When this works together, it creates a powerful synergy. For the final touch, we added the sunshine vitamin, the key for good immune health. Vitamin D3. Add life to your years. There is no other product like Balance Oil. Test yourself and choose one of our Balance products. Balance Oil with great flavors, or Aqua X that mixes with water into a lemon drink.
So that is it, and I want to end the presentation here by showing us how the balance test is done, and how to, a lot of people will be asking themselves questions: how is this test done? How do I do it? What's, you know, where can I find the lab? This is just a sample. This is something you do yourself. You know, just let us watch this video. Step-by-step instructions. Especially those of us who are also here to do ours and asking, how do I do mine? So you first of all wash your hands very, very well. Wash your hands and bring it out and divide it. Keep one part. Take a photograph of your ID number, your test ID that you will use to monitor your test results. Then use the spirits to clean the spot very well. Then bring out the lancet. Don't be scared. This lancet is not painful. I tried it until I was scared, but it's not painful. You press it to your skin and you get your samples out. So you keep it for 10 minutes, minimum of 10 minutes for it to get dry. Then you put it in the envelope and the biohazard bag and put it in the envelope that is already addressed to the Vitas laboratory in Norway, and put your stamp. Now, for those who are in countries where we have postal challenges, we have made arrangements on how to ship all our tests to Norway for analysis. But if you find yourself in a country where you can easily do your test and assess it very well, you put it, send it through post, and it will get to Norway. And within 10 to 20 days, you will receive an email for you to check your test results. Vitas Laboratory is in partnership with so many institutions all over the world. They take their blood samples and do analysis for them. So it is a world WHO recognized certified laboratory. So let us not be scared that we are sending our blood samples to a place in code that we may not know. The company, the Vitas Laboratory, has already installed, they've written a document on the safety of our blood sample and when they discard it. So everything. So I want to end my presentation here. Thank you so much for being my guest and for listening to me.